Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel APM Guide. Today we are going to discuss about the APM architecture and I will explain each and every step in detail how exactly the APM architecture work. Okay, so please watch this video till the end so that you can understand the each and every stage what exactly happened in our APM architecture. Okay, so first of all, our APM architecture is a multi-level architecture. Why it is a multi-level architecture? By the end of this video, we can able to understand why the APM architecture is not a multi-level architecture. Okay, and once we start this one, see APM architecture is a part of APM ecosystem. Okay, and APM architecture consists of mainly three parts. That is the APM server, client, and driver. Okay, but in plugins and tools will not take part in our testing activity. So our APM architecture consists about APM server, client, and driver. Okay, now we'll go into the APM architecture here. So briefly I explain this APM architecture and I run the script and I will explain the each and every step what exactly happens. Okay, see, basically we have a APM client. Okay, so suppose you are working with Java, we have Java APM client, and suppose you are working with Python, we have Python APM client. Like this we have different clients we have. Okay, and we have you by using these clients we will generate the automation script. Okay, and we trigger the test. Once we trigger the test, the HTTP request will send to APM server. Okay, and this HTTP request will send as a W3C web driver protocol. Okay, so request went from the client to APM server. Okay, once the request went from APM to server, from here the APM server will analyze the request, and this will send to the particular APM driver based upon our capabilities. So we are declaring the capability, right? Based upon this capability, the APM server will decide to which driver it has to send. That is, by using platform name and automation name, it will determine the which way it has to go. Suppose we have Android, it has to go in this way, and Android it has to go in this way. So if it is Android, it has to use the UI automated tool driver, and if it is iOS, it has to use XUID test driver. Okay, here we have one component called UI automated framework. Okay, in this framework we have two components. Okay, that is UI automated to driver and UI automated to server, which will run on Netty server. Okay, and from there the code once again goes to the our end device. It may be a real-time device, or it may be an emulator or a cloud device. Okay, so here is client to server, client to server, from client to server. That's why it is known as a multi-level architecture. Okay, and in our APM server we can able to see the session ID. So where exactly session ID will create, why the session ID is created. Okay, so I will explain it. Okay, see, session ID will basically create here in our UI automated to framework if you are using Android. If you are using the iOS, the session ID will be created in our XUI test framework. Okay, and I will demonstrate this thing in the by using the code itself. I will run the code and I will demonstrate these things in the APM logs. Okay, let's open the Eclipse IDE. I am using it. So I take one sample test here which I created for previous videos. Just it open one app and just it click on the few elements. Okay, and my even my emulator is ready. Okay, emulator is ready. I have the working code with me and I will open the APM server here. So whatever we discussed, right, I will show it in the APM logs. Okay, and each and every step will understand. So I have opened my APM server here. Okay, So we have our available drivers UI automator 2 and XUID test. Okay. Now I will trigger the test here. So I trigger the test here. See, APM server is running. Whatever the code I have given has as a event as a request to the APM server, and from APM server it went to the APM driver. From APM driver it is going to the our end device. Okay, so this says you open the app and click on the buy log online, then it has to click on the Amazon button. Okay, this is our functionality. Now I will explain about how exactly the APM architecture will work. Okay, yes. So once again I am repeating here, our client, whatever the code I am sending it, it will go as a APM, as a HTTP request by using the W3C WebDriver protocol. From APM server, it will based upon our desired capabilities, it will invoke the drivers from in the UI automation framework. This driver, we have UI automator driver and the server. Okay, here in this part we will session ID will be generated. Okay, and from there once again the request will go to the our end device. Okay, now we will see the step by step. Okay, this step we will see now. Okay, this particular step, the client to APM server, this step we will see. So I am opening the APM log. So you will understand what exactly it tells about. See, I invoke I open the APM here. So see, in this step, what is saying? Request. It is requesting. What is requesting? Post session. It is requesting for create a session to APM server. From where it is coming? From client. From the client, I am post the for request for session creation. So if I go here, it says as post session, and this is the capabilities which I have mentioned in my script. These are the capabilities: Android, platform name, automation name, UI automator 2, device name, package and activity. So this all these things it is converting into a JSON file based upon the W3C standards. Okay, and it is posting here. Okay, this request came to our driver APM server. Sorry, APM server it came. Okay, now what APM server will do? Once I will go here. So here the APM driver use one method called create session. Okay, the capability are sent from the client. So the APM driver will use one method called create session with these arguments. Okay, so these are the arguments what he had sent from the client, and it will say event new session requested. Okay, and at what time? Logged at 10:34 59 seconds Indian Standard Time. Okay, so the request came from the client to the APM server. Okay, now what APM server will do? Attempting to find the matching driver for automation name and platform. See, this automation name and platform is also called as the session creation capabilities, or these capability are used to create a session. Okay, and what APM server will do? So the UI automator to driver was installed and matched the capabilities. So what I mentioned here in capabilities, I said has automation UI automator 2 already we have installed here. So the APM server is saying that the UI automator 2 driver was installed and matching the capabilities. Okay, and then this request will go from Appium server to Android UI automator framework, that is a UI automator, that is UI automator to driver, because my platform name is Android and my automation name is UI automator 2. So it will go to this phase. If it is iOS and XUI test, it will come in this way. Okay. Now my request went from Appium server to UI automator to driver. Okay. We'll see here. Yes, it went. Okay. Here. See. In UI automated driver, it is saying that creating session with W3C capabilities. So what are the capabilities I given here in our client? Will come to the Appium server. From Appium server, it is coming to my UI automated 2 driver. Okay, and here what happened? The discussion will go on with the Appium with UI automator to driver and UI automator server. Okay, and then in this phase the session ID will be created. Okay, you see the request creating the session with W3C capabilities. So whatever I mentioned here, okay, is coming there. Okay, one more thing. Yes, it came in there. Okay, now session created with session ID, because I have the valid capabilities, I have the matching driver, that is UI automated 2. Okay, so session ID is created. Okay, see, for each and every run the session ID is unique. Okay, got it? The session ID is created here, and here we can conclude one thing here. See, we cannot change the capabilities, or we cannot add the capability at runtime. Why? Because once the session ID is created based upon the capabilities, based upon these capabilities, my session ID is created. That's why we cannot update, we cannot add, or we cannot delete the capabilities during test execution. Okay, now it is came here. Now what is happening? So what are the requests I am sending from client? Okay, it will go to a client to Appium server to the UI automator to driver. From there it has to go to our end device. Okay, I will explain here also what exactly happening. See, I have taken this one too. Yeah, I'll go here. See, you're able to see here, right? Yeah. Yes. So this request. So now the request I'm saying that. So I am checking for this line of code. This one. So here it says I had to click on this element. So driver.find element, and I had to click on this element, that is here. Here I have to click on this element. Okay, this thing we can check it in our Appium log. Okay, see. Okay, this line of code. Okay, where you can see this line of code here in our Appium log C. Yeah, you can see here. See, this post, okay, is coming from our client, that is from our IDE. This post is coming, okay, and it is calling our Appium driver find element method. It is using here, okay, and it is giving the argument xpath, okay, and the value, okay, and the from there it is going to our UI automator to driver, okay, and once he says matched, okay, and once it is done, it will send a response also to our client that it is found, okay, here. Okay, and here I want to show some more. Okay, what exactly this ID meant by. Okay, yeah. So you can see here. See, I fetched the session ID. Say session ID 250F. Okay, at last four characters. You can see here everywhere the session ID will be based upon session ID only. It will identify the request and response. Okay, see my session ID. Yeah, it says the session ID is created, right? See, you can see here. This is the session ID. So wherever see in the logs it says session ID only. That's why we cannot update the capabilities at runtime. Okay, and here, so what I will do, I will open the APM inspector also. Okay, wait, we go in depth. Open the APM inspector. Session. I think the driver was. I think the session has ended here. Okay, no problem. So if we go here, yeah, see, that's see, as I told in starting stage that our APM architecture is a multi-level architecture because the request will go from client to server. From server, it acts as a client. It go the request to the UI automator to driver. From here, the request will go to the server. From here, it has a client and it will go to the from there to the our end device. Though it is like a multi-level architecture. Okay, this is the way it will work. Okay, this is the way the APM will work, and this is the APM architecture. Okay, hope you understand what is APM architecture. So if you like this video, please click on like button and subscribe to my channel. Keep learning and happy learning. Thanks for watching. Thank you.